They were in total control of a 400-mile-per-hour fighter and 8 machine guns with no radar, no autopilot and no electronics. The words of a World War II fighter pilot that took part in the most important event in the history of the RAF. The Battle of Britain, which helped determine the outcome of the Second World War, is now being commemorated in a new book of keepsakes and memorabilia from the young airmen who took part. We'll hear from its author in a moment, but first a reminder of what it was like to be a fighter pilot in 1940.
You were on tenterhooks the whole time. You had a job. You were paid 14 shillings a day to do it. And you were there and resigned, and when the bell went or the phone went, you ran to your aeroplane, sat in it. The moment you sat in it, you felt better. The whole atmosphere of the Spitfire was a friendly aeroplane. You felt at home in the cockpit. It had that smell of an aeroplane and high-octane fuel and a bit of oil and oxygen coming through your mask. You were aware that there was something radical going on and that it's a battle that you just had to win.
Well, a new book gives a rare and further insight into the pilots who defended Britain in 1940. It's called The Battle of Britain, The Camera's View, and it was created by Roy Asser. Earlier, he joined me and I asked him where he got the idea for it and why.
Well, in fact, I was a young boy when the Battle of Britain started, and like most youths of my age, we lived the air, the war in the air, and so that therefore that I had this grounding. And in 1998, when the Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund invited me to take photographs of pilots' memorabilia for a sumptuous book they were producing, what I decided to do was to really tell their story from mementos they'd kept for 50 years.
So what kind of things in the book?
Well, in fact, it's quite a wide variety. Some are wonderful historic artifacts, others no more than snapshots that they had. And so that what I had to do was to really listen to their story, select what I thought would tell their story, take them away, photograph them, send them back a print with a questionnaire. And so the photographs in the book are the ones that they had seen. But from that, quite a voluminous correspondence really started between us.
And you've picked out a couple of extracts from letters. First of all, the recollection from Wing Commander Storer as a young pilot officer in 1940, just been given clearance for his first solo flight.
Well, in fact, Jazz Storer, he arranged with his mother to falsify his birth certificate so he could join up at the age of 17.
What did he write?
And in fact, what he wrote, part of the thing was that on one occasion he was overconfident, and he said, "Overconfident me went away to do an aerobatic or two out of sight of the airfield and failed miserably to find it again. It had started to get dark and fuel was getting low, so I decided to land in a field that appeared big enough," and which he did, and it was a farmer's field. He went to the farmer, reported to the base where he was, and they said, "Stay there all night."
Oh dear.
And it was freezing cold, so he had to run around the aircraft all night long. The pictures themselves tell stories. This is Paddy Barthrop, and he was shot down over France, landed on a farmer's barn, and before the Germans came to collect him, he was able to bundle up his parachute.
And is that a map and a parachute then? In
That's
picture?
right. Which he handed over to the farmer on whose field he landed. And in fact, this is a framed collection which consists of the last remaining piece of the parachute. The rest had done sterling services for knickers for the ladies in the villages. He was able to find out.
What about the picture underneath?
And the other, he was one of the diggers for the Great Escape, and
wow.
he was number 128.
And the
so he
cutlery
never.
there is...
And this is the German cutlery which he was issued, and he said that the knife was cut down because it made a better digging tool. You see?
Fascinating
so
stuff.
It's incredible.
Roy, you said at the beginning that you were a young boy during the Battle of
That's
Britain.
right, yes.
How do you think of these men?
Well, you see, this was the wonderful thing of meeting them in 1989, because they were my heroes. That I'd known about most of them. I hadn't met any, but I'd known about them, and so meeting up with them, and some became very good friends. For me, it was a marvellous experience. It was a wonderful experience.
And it's a fitting tribute to them. Roy Asser, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Kate.
And all proceeds from that book go to the RAF Benevolent Fund. You can find out more about it on their website.